Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokemon community, discovering the 6 Pokemon on their dream team along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, Merri by name, Merri by nature, otherwise known as Chazingdra, a host and commentator for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series, and a content creator. And this week, as every week, I very much hope my guests and I can make your day merry, because I have the pleasure of being joined by AWESOMEADAM. Adam, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It certainly will be fun. Thank you so much for joining me, and for the benefit of the people watching and listening, fortunately Adam and I can't actually see each other at the moment. The internet and technology, they're doing their things and not working on that front, but at least we can hear each other, at least we can have a conversation. So for anyone who's not so familiar with you, Adam, could you give a brief introduction to yourself?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Go by the name AWESOMEADAM. I've been playing Pokemon literally my entire life. I play the mainline games, play Pokemon Go a lot, I collect cards, and I've tried to play other Pokemon stuff, but those are mainly, and Pocket, but mainly those are the things that I've been enjoying a lot. I enjoy the Pokemon community, just overall the people are just absolutely amazing, and I'm very excited just to, get more into me about what's going on and Pokemon and, the backstory and just being on here, dude. I really appreciate being on here. I'm so excited.
100%. I can't wait to take a deeper dive as well. So, Adam, shall we do this?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Great. Let's dive in. Let's get to know you better. Let's get to know the 6 Pokemon on your dream team. So to kick things off, we're going to start with, very appropriately, growing up with Pokemon.
I guess if we're talking about growing up, I'm going to say Dragonite is my favorite. I mean, I have a sticker of it, like, right here. I love Dragonite. I mean, there was not a lot to love about that Pokemon. They're fierce. They're cute. Their entire package, they're the first, I guess a lot of people respect Dragonite, and I really appreciate that. And in a way, I just love their demeanor, the way that they've changed over time, and they're very expressive. So if we're talking about childhood, I think that's one that I could link it to as well too. Growing up with Pokemon, it's a very nice, wonderful experience. And the reason why I say that is because, we've gone on countless adventures in many different regions, and throughout all the spin-off games like Pokemon Coliseum, Extiga, Darkness, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Pokemon Stadium actually was my first ever Pokemon game, believe it or not. Yeah. It's kind of crazy to say. And I started, and if you want to go technical, Hey You Pikachu was my first Pokemon game ever of all time. How my Pokemon journey started was my parents got me the Hey You Pikachu. I'm sorry, the Hey You. I was gonna say Switch. Hey You Pikachu Nintendo 64. And I had, that's where the Pokemon journey started, and I got Pokemon Stadium with it because I was the only game on there at the time. And then if you talk about first mainline game, it was Yellow. My cousin did not care about the game anymore, and he gave it to me. So thankfully, that was my first ever Pokemon game. And then I got introduced to Gen 2 by Pokemon Stadium 2. And funny enough, I never played Gold and Silver. I actually skipped to Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby was my first ever Gen 3 game, which was my favorite Gen 3. I mean, it's my favorite region. And then I went back to Gen 2 because my cousin also didn't care about Gold anymore and gave it to me. So and then I was able to finally experience all 3 generations because, that first Nintendo 64 meant a lot to me. I didn't have a lot of money growing up, and, it was a lot for them to make that happen. So I appreciate my parents so much for making that happen because, my life would have been a lot more different if I had not got that Nintendo 64,
Yeah, wow. Paving the way for what was to come. And interesting that you grew up playing the games out of the order that came up in, but your introduction was through the Nintendo 64. So, do you have a memory of when you first discovered Pokemon? Like, was it friends at school, or did you see the cards? What was your introduction to it?
Oh, my introduction easily 100% was a TV show, actually. The anime. Growing up, when it first popped up on the TV, I was so fascinated with it. And I just thought, man, this is so colorful. Ash, Misty, Brock, you know, Pikachu. Like when I was little, I never really tell people this. When I was little, I just thought Pikachu was actually my friend. You know what I mean? Like in that kind of way. You know, and so I genuinely loved, you know, the anime growing up, and that's what got me into Pokemon, and that's what prompted my parents to be like, oh, there's that little yellow mouse right there. Let's go surprise him. You know what I mean? That's what he wants. So, yeah, the anime was definitely what got me into my Pokemon journey. Before the games, yeah, because I think they're kind of introduced. I don't know the timeline with that. I'm usually good with timelines, but I should really check on when the anime came out and then when the games came out here. You know.
Well, that would be interesting. I see. So you see the anime, and it was love at first sight. Sure. And do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have one little sister, and she does not care about playing any video game, really. And so it's not even just Pokemon. She just doesn't care about gaming much. I just got her a Nintendo Switch 2 recently, because she complained that her Nintendo Switch Lite was kind of to play on, which I understand, you know, but she really likes Legend of Zelda. So, you know, hopefully that helps her transition to play other games, but we'll see, you know, who knows, you know.
Maybe. So Generation 3 you said is you said that Hoenn is your favorite region, but would you say Generation 3 is your favorite of the mainline generations?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think the Generation 3 to me is probably, like, in terms of a lot of things, I think the music is beautiful. A lot of people who like do like remixes for songs and do wonderful work on that will even agree that like Gen 3 probably has the most iconic music other than like Gen 1 possibly. You know, I think also that Gen 3 had like some of the best like 2D like art, like sprites. Like I think it was a big transition from Gen 2 to 3. So that was well done. The intro, you know, riding the bikes with the Latios and Latias on the side. And just the starter trio. It's like literally perfect. Like, you know, Trico, Torchic, Mudkip, and then even the shiny versions of them. And shiny Pokemon are the alternate variant colors, right, of the Pokemon that you can find by shiny hunting them. And that is basically done by encountering them multiple times in different methods. So even just the shinies of those three, they're perfect. So I just love everything about Gen 3. It was probably like my video game home, as you know, as you could say, you know.
Fair enough, yeah, and of course shiny Pokemon exceedingly rare, and that's why you keep encountering them to try and find the ones that are different colours. I see. Okay, great. And I totally agree with you about the music. I mean, I think as Pokemon fans, we're so lucky to experience games that have such incredible music. And I think the music is an underrated part of the nostalgia and what keeps bringing us back to Pokemon for sure. And so, you highlighted Dragonite there as your overall favourite Pokemon. And, again, I mean, do you have any memory of the very first time you saw Dragonite?
I mean, the anime, right? You know, with the tower, you know, with Bill, right? When we encounter Bill, he's like, yeah, there's like 100 Pokemon, but there's like many more out there, and that's when we first learned that like there's probably gonna be way more Pokemon than we thought, you know, in the future. That episode, you know, I think is very iconic. You know, till now we don't know what was up with that Dragonite. I feel like they should have shared in one of the episodes by now, but it would have been perfect for Journeys. But I think that was a really cool one. And I think in the games, in Stadium, I would use them a lot, even though the moves were kind of during that time. But in Stadium, but you had to get your own from, you know, the Game Corner, get your Teeny, level it up, or go to Safari and then get one there. But that was hard to do. So, yeah, Dratini, Dragonite it's a very hard Pokemon to come by. But, you know,
it is, yeah.
Makes it worth it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that anime appearance you mentioned, Dragonite, it's a very big Dragonite that's sort of cloaked in darkness. And yeah, a really intriguing first appearance of that Pokemon. Okay, Dragonite, welcome to the team. Just as a reminder, everybody, the aim is not for Adam to build the most competitively viable team in any way. It's just the Pokemon that have been the most special to Adam over the years, and he can find that for himself in whichever way he wants. I have no idea what they are. He's decided on them in advance. So, we will go over from there into traveling for Pokemon.
Yes. traveling for Pokemon. I think Dragonite would have fit this. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I imagine second one was Dragonite. No, I think second I'm gonna have to go with if we go with traveling, I'm gonna go with the Rayquaza. Not only has it been the legendary that's stuck in my head and throughout time, but just so iconic, you know. Even like this is what the shiny version of it looks like right here. Right here, it's amazing. And not only that, but I think like I used it on my team in the Elite Four every time that I've beat a game, and then I went back and played it without Rayquaza, and then I'm like, oh, now I miss it on my team. So no, I really do love Rayquaza. It's probably like my favorite. Like it's my favorite legendary of all time. Probably my favorite shiny. When people ask me like, what's your favorite shiny? So I know I picked another dragon flying. I know, like, you know, God forbid I'm a little basic on that, but I just love dragon types in general. And there's gonna be another dragon type on the list. I'm just letting you know right now. So just a heads up. But I do love them a lot. They're really cool. I love all typings. I love them a lot. But dragon typing is just very unique and very cool to me. The concept of them. So yeah. And then in terms of what we're saying, traveling, right? Man, have I done some traveling for Pokemon? Oh my god. So I started doing content in 2019, and I would only stream, didn't really make videos. And I would do social media. So like posts, you know, whatever, talking about Pokemon, discussions with people, hyping stuff up. It's a lot of fun social media stuff. And during that time, it was I got to work with Pokemon on the 25th anniversary. They sent me a cool little box. It stays above here at the top of my room at all times, and I still have the box from that time. It was the first time I worked with a Pokemon company back in 2021 during the 25th anniversary. And that's what prompted me to travel for my first ever time for Pokemon in general. I've never really traveled. I never traveled to an event for Pokemon ever, or been to one until 2022, which was Pokemon Go Fest Seattle. It was phenomenal, and I loved it so much. And I just wanted to stay on that nice, you know, meeting all the people that knew me online. It was so cool, and seeing my friends finally in person, and it was such a wonderful feeling. And then Pokemon Worlds 2022, this is in London, so it probably would have met then if we had known each other at the time, Charlie. So it was back in 2022 in London, and that was such a phenomenal experience. Like I said, I met so many people online. I was just at that time I was like, oh, you know me, because like I was still kind of barely doing stuff at the time, you know. It was so cool meeting so many people, and I just loved it so much. And you know, just traveling for the idea of just going to catch Pokemon just sounds so fun to me, and I just wanted to keep that dream up, you know. If it's like then I went over to in 2023 I did my biggest journey yet. I went all the way to Japan for the first time in my life, and that was an unforgettable experience. I went there for Go Fest in Japan, and then Worlds right afterwards, because they were back to back those 2 weeks, and it's stuck with me since then. I think that this traveling to go play the games, to talk with the people, to see our amazing community, it's what's kept my drive going. It's kept me going. So this is what it's about. You know, it's about the people. It's about seeing the world, experiencing the culture. You know, eating the food, obviously. That's my favorite part, is going to different countries and trying food. It's so much fun. I love it so much.
You said it was 2019 where you started to make content? Okay. So what made you decide that you wanted to do that?
Oh, man, that's a great question. That's gonna be a bit of a rough one. So it's hard to think about, right? But I didn't really have anyone to really play Pokemon with. A lot of people I know just didn't want to play anymore, and I wanted to keep playing. And Let's Go Pikachu was on at the time. That was the main game, and I enjoyed shiny hunting on there, and that was a lot of fun. I would go online, and I was just like, can I talk with people that play Pokemon? And so I'd go on Twitch, and I saw a couple of people would do it, but they were very like on and off about playing the game. I was like, you know what? Like, I want to be at a place where we can play it all the time, most of the time, most of the time at least. And so I literally just went like, let me order a camera, let me order a mic, and figure out OBS, and and that's exactly how I started. I just started streaming. I was very inconsistent, which is why like 2019 is a hard way for me to say I started, because I didn't feel like because I was working full time at that time, and so I would say that my content creation journey really started. It started then, but it didn't really start until Sword and Shield came out, because that was my first ever main Pokemon game release, and that's where I started streaming a lot. You know what I mean? Like I streamed a lot during the Sword and Shield release, and leading up until 2020, everybody else, a lot of people started streaming too. So we kind of formed this community afterwards, and so I feel like I just started right before everybody else did when it came to streaming, and it was great because then I got to know everybody so soon, and I loved it so much. But that's basically when I started. I started streaming on Twitch, and that's where the journey began. I didn't have anyone to play with, and I just wanted to play Pokemon, and that's really it. I was like, let me make a community. Let me form a community of people that plays. That's it. That's literally how it happened.
No, good for you. I'm so pleased that you took that step into wanting to connect with more people who are playing Pokemon. I'm glad that, it didn't go the other way where you decided, okay, well, then I guess I'll just stop playing. I'm glad you lent in more. So what was the job you were doing at the time?
I was working at the airport. I was helping passengers who had disabilities.
Okay.
So that was my job. I loved it a lot. I loved working with the people. They were like the highlight of my day, working with them. Genuinely, some of the kindest people I met working during that. Coworkers too, for the most part. But the people that I would help out, whether it was, obviously people would deal with a lot of things, but I've learned a lot through those people and their experiences that I take with me till today. So, I worked at that job about like 10 years. The last 2 of them I was kind of in the office, so I hated it, I don't like working in offices as much, like the fluorescent lights and this. Sure. I just, I didn't like it that much. I liked being on the field and helping the people, you know what I mean? So yeah, I genuinely enjoyed, like I said, working with the people. So that was my job. It was that for a very long time. I started working there. I was like 16 years old when I started working at the airport. So I had to get like a work permit and all that fun stuff. So it was, it was definitely an experience. You know what I mean?
And so obviously from the first topic to what you're talking about now, I guess we've jumped quite a few years. So in that intervening time, have you always sort of played the mainline games as soon as it's come out? Your love for Pokemon, you've kept feeding that?
Oh, absolutely. I've always constantly played the mainline games. Like I said, even though I didn't have anyone to play it with from like 2012 to 2017, 18, 19, somewhere around that gap. Even though I had anyone to play with, I still was going to play it. I remember the most time that I felt as if like I was going to have initially stopped was Black 2, White 2. Even though they were great games, I would look around and everyone stopped playing, and that was kind of sad. You know what I mean? It just sucks being at a place where like, you're like, yeah, I really had fun. And you look up and it's like, nobody's there, Right, and so I was in high school when Black 2, White 2 came out. And I was just like, am I too grown for this? Like, am I done playing Pokemon? Like, that's it. And that's when I was a little sad about it. I even went back to play Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Like, would even invite my friends. So they kind of ignited it, but they're like, this new stuff isn't for me. So I kind of really didn't have any more like friends to play with because of that. And then Pokemon made a surprise announcement saying a new game is coming out, and I was like, oh. I was like, what is it? And they said Pokemon X and Y. I was like, oh. And then it said first ever worldwide release. I was like, oh. And it's going to be 3D. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, this is going to be big. And they said, oh, that's not the surprise. And I was like, oh, it's a surprise. They're like, we got Mega Evolution. I was like, oh, we're so back, baby. So I literally sent that video to all my friends. I mean, they still didn't play the game afterwards, but I didn't care. You know what I mean? I was just like, whatever. I'm going to play this game. It's fun. And so I played the game. I got into doing competitive. I played X and Y competitive, funny enough, online. Did online battles. Okay. So it was a fun time. Shout out to my Crawdont with Life Orb. That one I cooked up on my own. It actually did really good with Aqua Jet for a lot of times. So that was a fun time. I was learning how to play. And then doing like having double battles, I had like a fire. I had like a sunny day team, so that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun getting into it. And then that's when I first experienced shiny hunting as well. I learned about the Masuda method, and if you don't know what the Masuda method is, basically you take a Pokemon from one region, okay, that's different to yours, like a Ditto, which is the easiest to do, and you breed it with the Pokemon that you have that's from your region, and your odds get significantly lower or higher, right? What am I saying?
Better.
Right? Yeah, better. Yeah, better. Your odds get better, and you have a better chance of getting a shiny Pokemon hatched from an egg. And so I did that for a while, tried to get shiny Noibat, shiny Larvitar, and that game, actually, I found my first ever shiny, which is why I learned about it, was a shiny Cubchoo while I was Eevee training in a cave. And Eevee training is also for competitive. This is before candies, before anything else, before you can just make a competitive Pokemon in 5 minutes, easy bake oven. Basically, you had to fight a Pokemon specifically with the stat you wanted to increase. So let's say, for example, like Geodude had 1 defense Eevee. You had to battle like 200 Geodudes just to get that Eevee maxed out, for example. So there was an area in a cave where I think it was Zubat or something, but I was in a cave area and I wanted to battle a bunch of Zubats for the speed stat, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember the story, but I bumped into one and there was a shiny Cubchoo in a horde, and I was like, oh my god, I need to catch that thing, whatever it is. And so that was my first ever shiny that I discovered in the wild, from what I remember. I could have found one as a kid, but I wouldn't have known.
That's it's great to get the story of your the very first shiny you found, which again became such a staple of what you do now. And of course, then shortly after that, well, a few years after that, that summer of 2016, Pokemon Go comes out. And is that something, and obviously that's something that you still play a lot now, was it something that as soon as it came out you loved and it's just always been there since?
Yeah, I think Pokemon, well, honestly, I will say too, is like Pokemon Go was people talk about how it took over the world, this. What kind of came up for me that made it happy for me was Pokemon Go let all my friends play Pokemon again.
Yeah.
That was the craziest part to me. It was like, after all these years, I was trying to get them back to play, but nobody was kind of into it. Everyone started playing Pokemon Go when it came out. And of course, they all came to me afterwards. Like, Adam, like, what do I do with this? Da, 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 da. So Pokemon Go was really, a lot of, I like to say that, some people might take the game seriously, whatever, but it has really brought the cultural impact, of Pokemon as a franchise was really brought up on Pokemon Go that release that summer, because that reignited a lot of flames, a lot of passion, and a lot of people to want to continue in the franchise. And a lot of people don't know that was like Pokemon's 20th anniversary gift to us. You know, that's the kind of way to think about it, right? Because the 25th anniversary gift was Unite. So I'm, you know, like if that makes sense, you know what I mean? But Pokemon Go is just like, man, they're like, you know what? Everyone has a phone. People have been asking for Pokemon in real life for so long. Like, let's make this happen, you know? Let's do this, you know? And man, like, there's such wonderful memories of starting, you know, going to the pier, playing until literally sunrise. Like, we would play Pokemon Go until sunrise in that first week, me and my friends. And they were like, we were just walking up and down the pier. We didn't care. You know, we were off the next day, I think. But it was wonderful, and I loved it so much. And till now, I love it so much, you know.
As you say, it's meant that you've been able to do so much traveling and go to some incredible places. And it's all thanks to the fact that you stuck to your love for Pokemon and you didn't let anything sway you from that. So that's fantastic. And going all the way back to what you started with there, Rayquaza joining the team, and of course, a great representation of your love for Generation 3. And now we will drag an ascent from there into what you've called your personal experiences.
I'm going to put Krogunk here as my next one. And I love Krogunk a lot. It just like, it's made me the most happy. I remember the first time seeing it in the Great Marsh around that time. It was in the anime, of course, obviously, like Brock's Krogunk is so iconic. So I'm going to put that one on the team just because it's a lot of fun, very funny, very expressive, and I love Pokemon like that. And so I'm going to put Krogunk on the team. I guess this is hard for me to do. I have too many Pokemon that I like, but I could go all day on Pokemon I like, but I'm going to stick with just Krogunk. It just gave me a lot of things. It's one of those things I had personal experience with. And I'll explain why. So personal experience is, for me, as my parents were born in Jordan. It's in the Middle East. They moved over here, and I was, you know, obviously, like, I was born as a first generation. I was first generation, so I had to pick up a lot of, you know, American culture on my own, and that was not an easy thing to do because my parents did not know anything about, you know, TV shows, movies, you know, etc. You know, so it was a lot of me picking those things up, and I was able to pick those things up were through my friends around me, who also enjoyed video games. So I got to make friends through video games, like mainly Nintendo games, right? Like, obviously Pokemon, but like Mario, Donkey Kong, etc. I met a lot of my friends through that. So I was able to learn about, you know, American culture through them because obviously, like, I didn't have anyone else to look to other than maybe like my cousins or possibly. But it's very difficult being first generation and kind of learning things on your own in the world and stuff like that. But also at the same time, it was really cool because then I got to learn about other cultures because, you know, the U.S. is a melting pot, and I got to learn about other cultures as well too, which is so cool. So I absolutely love that a lot. We moved a few times from here to Jordan, so I actually stayed there for a couple years. And in that time, I would try to keep up with Pokemon as much as I can because it wasn't really popular in Jordan. And so my first experience with Cerebi was when I was in Jordan. I was in school, and during recess, I would use my the school computer that we would rent out, and I would type in, like, you know, Pokemon news or whatever, you know. And I remember Cerebi popped up, and I was like, oh, this is a cool website. And I remember when they showed the new starters for Sinnoh, and I was so excited. And I remember Chimchar, Piplup, Turtwig showing up on there. I was like, man, I want to keep up with this website. So, like, I had to learn Cerebi. I was like, what does that even mean? I didn't know it was like Celebi until like way later, you know, until like high school or something. I didn't know. But it's just so funny. I'm actually friends with Joe now. Joe, who runs the website. Shout out to Joe. Fantastic human being. I even told that joke to him. I'm like, I was like, I was like, if I were to come, I was like, how old do you feel sometimes when people tell you like, oh, I've been using your website since I was like 11 years old, and he's like, oh, very old, and I was like, okay, then I will not share my experience with you right now.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to look back at that now, and I remember when they first, I would go on the website and I would like look up Pokemon, and then I scrolled and I would see like Lucario and this and my dad I remember I was like, Dad, please, I was like, if I can get one thing when you I was like, Dad, if I can get one thing, because he went back to the U.S. He like had to like work while we were over there, like at school, because my grandma was sick at the time, so we had to watch over her. Um, and so I was like, Dad, if you can bring back one thing for me, can you bring back the new Pokemon games? And he was like, I don't know what they are. I was like, they're Diamond and Pearl. He was like, I'll look for them. I swear I'll look for them. And I just remember that vividly, so well. And so I remember when I go on the website, I saw Krogunk was on there, and I was so determined to catch it. I was like, oh, this is like a cool little frog guy. But that was a fun little memory that I had, like, personal experience wise. It's just like looking back and seeing how determined I was, even halfway around the world. I was like, I need to play these games.
Yeah.
So that was just like a fun little personal experience that I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Joe Merrick, the founder and webmaster of Cerebi.net, is someone I've interviewed on the show as well. That episode will be linked in the description below. Do check it out. Had a fascinating chat with Joe. Okay, so a little bit of moving between America and Jordan then. Do you remember that being quite challenging as you were growing up?
Yeah, it was very challenging. I mean, I am having to make new friends, again. Growing up, I mean, we would go to Jordan pretty often, like every summer or so growing up. So we had a lot of friends and family obviously over there, but like going to school over there was the difficult part because, like making friends, obviously I was like in elementary school, going into middle school at the time. So, that is a hard period to try to make friends, especially in middle school. I did meet friends that played Pokemon, so that was a lot of fun. I did make friends that played a lot of Nintendo games, just video games in general, honestly. So we bonded over that, which is really cool. And obviously, like, we are like, I'm of that culture, like Jordanian, like I am Jordanian, but it was a really cool experience because I got to learn my own culture, speak the language, learn a lot of things. And that, I think that's something that like resonates with me till now, is that like I got to, I had the opportunity to learn and embrace my own culture, because a lot of people who are first generation never really get the opportunity most of the time. Their parents move here or anywhere else, and then they never really go back until like way later, So I'm blessed to have that opportunity and to see all my grandparents before they passed. So it's nice that I got to really hold on to that, So thankfully we had that transitional period.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. That's fantastic. And Krogunk, of course, joining the team. I mean, what do you think it was that spoke to you the most about Krogunk in terms of why you liked it so much?
I think it's like his little giggle, you know what I mean? It's like funny to me, It's like I'm a little like I'm like that a little bit too sometimes, It's just like a little funny. So I think I really embrace that Krogunk nature, you know what I mean? I really do. Like, that's like if there's like, everyone's like, oh, I love Lucario, I love this, but I'm like, Krogunk is just like, I feel like it just meets the essence,
Krogunk, yeah, a very merry little guy. So welcome to the team alongside Dragonite and Shiny Rayquaza. And now we will poison jab from there into talking about the community.
And the community, man, what can I say about the community? I'm gonna say for my next Pokemon, I'm gonna go with Rockruff. I'm gonna go with Rockruff. Love Rockruff, so adorable, and the way it links in the community is because it's so hard, I think, seeing people to like new Pokemon, if that makes sense, because people are like, oh, like I don't know if I like this Pokemon kind of thing, or like I'm not used to them kind of thing. But I think Rockruff is definitely one of the most like Pokemon now of all time. It's definitely up there, you know, and it's one of the newer Pokemon, and I feel like that's very hard to find. You know, a lot of people stick with like the first 2 gens, but I think Rockruff's pretty up there. Would you agree, Charlie, or no?
No, you're right. Yeah, it's definitely a popular choice. I think most dog and cat Pokemon would be, but yeah, Rockruff introduced in Generation 7.
Yeah, but I think specifically Rockruff was just like one of those Pokemon. I'm like, wow, this is a very adorable dog, you know. And I loved it a lot. And the reason why I want to look into community was, you know, not only just my own community, but the people, the friends that I made during all this. It's fantastic. I remember Rockruff specifically because I shiny hunted for it for 2 months. 2 months. I phased 36 times. A phase means you encounter a Pokemon that's shiny that's not the Pokemon you're looking for. Okay. So I found like 15 Roggenrolas, and I'm so over Roggenrola now. I remember a lot of my, like, during that time, it was like 20, 21, 22. I had a lot of support from my community and a lot for my friends, you know, coming to check in on me, seeing if I went crazy or not, looking for this thing. And I remember it was so much fun at the time because people are like, oh man, you're so wild for doing all this. But I really wanted that Pokemon so badly. And so I never had something that I wanted so badly and had so many people backing me behind wanting a Pokemon so badly. And so that's why I kind of link it to that Pokemon. You know, finally seeing that blue shiny, it just made me so happy. And it has if you've never seen Shiny Rockruff, it's phenomenal. It's so good. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I signed up for that shiny hunt, but I was extremely unlucky with that. But I was lucky because I had people who cared about me enough to make sure that, you know, I didn't go crazy looking for it. And I had a wonderful community who was supporting me at the time. Till now, they're still all there. But I made, and like speaking of community, I would say generally speaking, like, I think we have like the best community, you know. I feel like a lot of us take care of each other. A lot of us see through each other. I mean, even with you, Charlie, like I never met you before, you know what I mean? But like you asked me to be on here, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because like, that's what we do. We take care of each other in our community, you know, like whatever it is, they're like, hey, like, let's do this. And like, yeah, absolutely. Like no hesitation, you know, and I think that's what community is. It's like, we do stuff for each other, you know, like take care of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And supportive is definitely the word that I'd use. Rockruff and Shiny Rockruff at that joining the team. Had you then sort of, with Sun and Moon coming out, did you decide to do shiny hunting more as an activity in its own right?
Oh no! So when it came out, I never shiny hunted on Sun and Moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when it came out at the time, I was just playing through it and like basically just like leveling up my team. Basically, I tried to shiny hunt through it, but funny enough, I think I have a video on YouTube because I wasn't a YouTuber at the time, but I tried to do a couple videos because like I was just like, if I can't find this thing, let me make it. So I tried to get a Alolan Raichu on the game, and I could not for the life of me figure out how to find this thing. And nobody on YouTube posted a video how to get Alolan Raichu. So if you go on my channel, and you type in Alolan Raichu or find it, it's like one of my oldest videos. I literally got an entire setup just to make that video because I feel like it was so warranted that like Alolan Raichu came out, and it was very important to community that, you know, everyone would have one. It's so cool. And so I was more focused on like getting a full dex than I was shiny hunting at that time. And so that kind of became more of the focus of me on the game, is like kind of like completing all of them and like getting, even the year prior to 2016, I actually got a full 151 Pokedex on Red and Blue at the time. And so that was like really, really cool. I even had a Game Boy printer to print it out, and it was really sick. So that was a really cool experience. But yeah, I focused more on like completing the decks because Sun and Moon had the largest decks. Because after that, it was kind of like cut afterwards. But yeah, finishing that decks took a while though.
So you really wanted the Rockruff. You eventually got it, and then was the fire lit? From then on, have you wanted to shiny hunt?
Yes, I think. Oh, well, I had been shiny hunting for a while at that point. Because I know I've been looking for that, but like that was my first. Like I would say, because before that was Mewtwo and Let's Go. That took a
Okay.
while, but Rockruff was months. So
Hmm.
I'd never taken that long for a shiny hunt in my entire life. But when I want something, I really want to go after and really I'm dedicated, I have the drive and I have the passion and I still do. So it always reminds me of how
Yeah.
much I care.
Wonderful. Well, very fitting note now to say, Shiny Rockruff, welcome to Adam's Dream Team into talking about your mental health.
Yes. Um I'm gonna pick Noibat for this one. I think Noibat's cute. They move around a lot. And that's kind of the same thing with me too. Um the reason why I brought Noibat onto the team, they were like they're my favorite Unova. I'm sorry, they're my favorite Kalos Pokemon. They're my favorite Kalos Pokemon, so I love them a lot. They're very adorable, but in the games they do not stop moving, and so that's kind of like how I feel mentally. I got diagnosed with ADHD, and so that's why I advocate a lot for mental health. I think that I've always known something was something. I always know that I was dealing with something, and I never knew what it was. And so I feel like it's very important that people understand their minds, their bodies, to kind of go throughout their lives more. And I think once I understood what I have and I was dealing with it, that I was able to enjoy my life more. And I think that's a very important thing with mental health is finding out what you need to finding out first of all what you have, and then secondly finding the proper help and support to deal with what you have in any way possible. Obviously, not everyone has the same amount of resources to be able to do things, but there's lots of places online and lots of ways to get to it. And I think that mental health is very important. I've had so many people with different disabilities I've had to deal with, and that's why I love streaming so much too, because a lot of people have had to deal with a lot of mental health issues, and I feel like I'm their comfort, and the things that they're dealing with. And I feel like it's important to uplift people, right? When we talk about community, we have to uplift each other. And I feel like that's what I kind of provide in my own space is helping people, with a good time and kind of not just letting them forget what's going on in their lives, but to help do something about it. You know what I mean? To really take charge. I've been in a place where, at that time when Pokemon Go was kind of before it came out, I was in a really, let's just say, bad mental headspace for a very long time, and there really wasn't much to help out, unfortunately. And so when Pokemon Go came out, it was a lot of kind of, going out, hanging out with friends, and like it made me go out and do stuff at that time. And I think it really helped me get back into out of this mental rut of just staying at home all day and just wallowing and being really sad, and kind of just took charge of my life again, and I think that's what's really important is like, you know, um, taking your own life back and not letting something take it away from you. And like, if I hadn't, if some factor like that, like Pokemon or whatever, didn't get my, I don't know how my life would be now, obviously. But it's just, that's why I never want people to feel alone. I think that's one of the worst feelings ever is to feel alone in this world. And I feel like that's why it's important that we all look after each other. We take care of each other. And that's what I do a lot on my stream too, is like we make sure that everybody's good, and even something is not good, try to find ways of just to be like, hey, like, maybe you should reach out to this or that, or finding proper resources for it. I think is very important because sometimes people just don't know where to go. So mental health, I think, is very, very, very important. But yeah, now I have ADHD though. I got diagnosed a few years ago. Talk with my therapist a lot to find ways of dealing with it. But Yeah, it's just something that I know I learned that I have, and I've been doing a lot of things to find ways to deal with it.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Adam, and just echoing what you said there, everybody. Make sure you're looking after yourselves and each other. And in fact, I'm just reminded now, Adam, that the day that we're recording this, which Friday, 10th of October, I believe is World Mental Health Day.
Oh, really? Is it? Oh,
yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for telling me. I mean, I was looking at today was Charlie Day, but now it's both Mental Health Day and Charlie Day for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So hope everyone can take today. No matter when you're listening to this, which won't be Friday the 10th of October 2025, but no matter when you're listening to this, just take a moment and make sure you're checking in with yourself and looking after yourself. So you were diagnosed with ADHD. You said that in the run-up to that, you felt like there had always been something that was slightly different. Would you say that when you learnt that you had ADHD, obviously it would have presented some challenges in itself, but was it also sort of, was it ultimately a good thing that you felt to have that explanation?
Oh, yeah. I think it's better to know that you have something than you don't, I think the unsure and uncertainty of something drives you more crazy than anything else, It's like it's like when your friend goes, guess what? And then like you keep guessing and it's like, guess what? And it's funny at first, it's fun at first, but it's like if you're doing that for 20 plus years, you're gonna go a little crazy, So that's and I it's funny. I could share a fun little story that I've shared on stream for you. I think a good indicator, something that maybe my parents should have picked up on when I was younger, is that a sign of ADHD that my therapist found out was, it goes back to Pokemon, funny enough, was I would, not proud of this obviously, but during class, I wouldn't, I would go to the bathroom a lot. It's not because I actually had to go, but apparently that's a sign. I didn't know this, but going to taking trips and doing that, basically not wanting to sit down in the same place for a long time, is one of those signs. It's something you have to learn mentally growing up. And so I'd constantly, every period, would want to go to the restroom, and I would just avoid doing anything that had to keep me sitting in a long place, except for video games, because video games then, because if you're interested in something, if you have ADHD, or you're hyper focused, you will sit in the same spot for 3 to 4 hours, maybe longer, and not notice, and play video games the entire time because you love it so much, So that's what happens sometimes. I would literally, I would come home from school, and then they're like, oh, it's time to do homework. I'm like, oh, I want to use the restroom. And so I would go in, and I would just sit on the toilet lid with it closed, and I was playing Fire Red when it came out, and every day it got longer and longer. And so one day my dad, I left the door unlocked by accident, and I was in there for an hour or something like that, playing Fire Red, and I was just about to beat the Elite Four. And my dad's like, what's going on? And he opens up the door, and I just look up, and he just sees me holding my Game Boy Advance SP, and I'm like, so that's something that, that maybe we should have picked up on a long time ago, is that this constant need of trying to avoid things and hyper focus on games, not realizing how long I was playing them, is, that's one of the signs, it's something that I had to deal with. So, it's something as an adult you learned, you need to drink water during these 3-hour games. And maybe you shouldn't be gaming 3 hours in a row, because that's not good for you either. Maybe you should take a little breaks, So that's something, like I said, it's some of those things people don't share about having this. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that ultimately after that diagnosis, you felt like, as you say, it's better to be in a state of knowing than of not. And I'm glad that now you have the support you need. And Noibat, I can see why you chose that Pokemon here as well. And as you say, another Dragon Flying on the team. So we've got 3 Dragon Flying. And I love the contrast between the first 2 Pokemon on your team and the next few, because we've got the big, either legendary or powerhouse Pokemon, and then we've got a load of little guys with Krogunk and Rockruff, and now Noibat. But before we round out this dream team and see who's going to be Pokemon number 6, time to talk about the future of Pokemon.
And I got one big one for the last one. We're going to go with the one and only Palafin for the last one. Palafin. I think Palafin, it's a new Gen 9 Pokemon. We're talking about the future. So, Gen 9 Pokemon, it was one of those Pokemon when it was revealed, it was one of the coolest things ever that we finally got a superhero Pokemon. And our first dolphin, might I mind you. So we got our first dolphin, the Finizen. Then it evolves, and you're like, oh, it looks the same. It has a heart on the chest. Then it goes bam, and then it turns into a superhero. I thought it was one of the coolest ideas that Pokemon has ever done. I mean, the closest thing they ever did to that was like Shaman, you know what I mean? Like kind of was like a hero form, you know. That's how I like to see it. But this Palafin looks so cool. The shiny is amazing. Have you seen the shiny before, Charlie?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
it's phenomenal. So I think Palafin is my Pokemon that we put on a team. It's just, you know, as I said, like, you know, heroes are something we always need, that hero mentality of taking care of one another, you know. And I loved that they finally included it on the game with the first ever Dolphin. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Palafin on that one though.
Yeah. Yeah, a Pokemon that has an ability where if it's in battle, switches out, comes back in, then yeah, we'll access that hero form. So that's your love for Palafin. In terms of what you wanted to talk about in terms of this topic here, the future of Pokemon.
So so for the future of Pokemon, I'm very excited to see how the future of Pokemon is coming. I mean, right now we have the 30th anniversary for Pokemon coming up, which is so wild. I just turned 30, by the way, like a week ago. So
oh yeah, I saw it was your birthday recently. Happy birthday!
Thank you. So me and Pokemon are linked that way, you know, like that. You know, that how many years it's been around. And then we have 10 years for Pokemon Go, and then it's just like there's so many anniversaries coming up, and so I just want to say it's incredible to think for the future of this franchise is how far we've come from the beginning until now, you know, whether it's playing on a tiny little screen, right? If people, a lot of people that play on a tiny little screen, monochrome screen, to, you know, now playing on a giant screen anywhere they want to go that can be put onto the TV. You know, I think that seeing Legends EA coming up soon is going to be so much fun, and I'm so looking forward to it. And just the entirety of like whatever, you know, next generation of Pokemon we have to offer. I'm truly excited. I have like this fun like little theory about Pokemon if you'd like for me to share.
Please do.
Yeah. So in every game since Gen 6, we've had something crystal based, you know what I mean? So like we've had like you know, we had like Mega Crystals, and then Z-Move Crystals, and then Gigantamax Crystals. Like, what's the name? I'm trying to remember the name of them.
Is it Wishing Pieces? Is that one?
Yeah, like that. You know, like they're all like crystals, you know, like the giant, like the structures. And then we have like Terra, you know, like terrestrializing, you know, like they're all based off of these themes. So like, I'm hoping in the future of the games, maybe like in Gen 10 or whatever, that like, because now that it's story focused, now that we're going to be more on that side, since I guess now it seems that Champions is going to be the competitive game, right, for the franchise, correct?
Well, it seems to be, yeah. For anyone unfamiliar, yeah, Pokemon Champions is, at the time of recording, a forthcoming game that seems to be separating the competitive side of the video game. Well, it's a game that's focused on that in its own right, so it remains to be seen how that will affect the battles in games going forward. But yeah, so all sorts of question marks around this, but it's interesting to speculate about.
Yeah, and so like that's like my theory right now. Is like I'm hoping for Gen 10 that we get some sort of connection between all of these things, because it just seems too much of a coincidence that, you know, they're using crystals and stuff like that constantly for the themes of these generations. And so I think maybe, you know, people always ask like, where's Pokemon going next? And so that I don't know. I feel like maybe the next thing is, you know, spiritually linking Pokemon with trainers or something like that, like kind of like Ash Greninja. But I'm excited to see where it goes, though, and I'm hoping that there's a connection between all these things over time. Just like how we've had like mega evolutions have been linked. Mega evolutions. A lot of people don't realize they've been in 4 generations of games. We've had Let's Go, which is a Gen 1 game. We've had Oras, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. That's Gen 3 game. We've had mega evolutions in obviously X and Y, and that's Gen 6, and then Gen 7 in Sun and Moon. We've had mega evolutions. So we're coming back to mega evolutions again, and I'm curious if this is going to lead into the future of the game, where they're going to be more constant for Gen 10, or are we doing something? Is the idea of Pokemon Champions, where you can use all of these things, a hint towards what we're going to see in the future? Now that we have the hardware capability of the Switch 2, that they're going to be able to, and in turn, taking the entire VGC right into another separate game, that now they can just focus solely on just the story, Pokemon, and character development of the games. How is that going to change the franchise of the game? And that's what I mean by future. Those are the things that we need to think about. And the reason why I tell you to think about them is because speculation makes for more fun. And that's what I love to hear. It's those fun little things where like not everything is confirmed, but you can talk about it because it's not, and you can just be like, maybe this would be a fun thing if this happened, and based off of what they've given us, obviously, based off context, obviously. I think it's fun to guess on these things, It's what makes being a part of this community so much fun, is speculation of what's going to happen in the franchise.
Yeah. We will have to see, and thank you for sharing that. That was really interesting to you, get your perspective. And of course, so that's the future of Pokemon, but in terms of what you're doing now, you are continuing to stream and create content, and would you say that you're sort of experimenting, especially as the new games come out, with the sort of content that you want to do, and seeing where that takes you?
Yeah, I am totally looking forward to Legends EA. Content wise, I plan to be streaming it a lot, making more YouTube videos on Legends EA, and my plan for Legends EA right now is that I'm going to be, I haven't really told anybody this, but you might be the first one to hear it, but I plan to shiny hunt literally every Pokemon in the game. I'm finishing up Paldea right now. I'm on my last 2 Pokemon, and I'm hoping by the game comes out, I'll be done. That's it, and we can go on to Legends EA and shiny hunt every Pokemon on there, and Mega Evolutions is what reignited my love for the Pokemon franchise at the time when I was feeling the lowest with no one to play with, and it's so beautiful that we get to re-enter that era again and experience it again, and it just makes me feel so happy,
That's amazing. Very seminal, important moment for you, and by the time this episode comes out, quite possibly Pokemon Legends ZA will have come out as well, so we'll see how far along on that quest you will be at that point. Quick question, what are the final 2 Paldean Pokemon that you're looking for?
The last, so I'm doing a shiny living dex, so it means I have to get 3 of, like, let's say I would get Fuecoco, Crocodile, and Skeledirge shiny, so I have to get 1 of each. So my last 2, because you can only hatch to them, is Quaxwell and Quaquaval, because I have shiny Quaxley. Okay. Those are my last 2. Sure. Then I have gone every single shiny Paldean Pokemon in the game.
Well, I hope they shine for you very soon. I hope that you can wrap that up before Pokemon Legends ZA comes out. And, of course, joining the team will be Palafin here. Well, very exciting indeed. I guess my final quick question on this point is, you said initially you were working in an airport helping people with disabilities, and now, so are you doing content full-time?
Yeah, I'm just doing content full-time now. I love it so much. Okay. I'm kind of settled now, and I'm hoping to grow more and spread love and kindness and compassion through our community. That's my goal basically here. That's all I want to do.
It's wonderful that you're thriving doing what you're doing. So this means, Adam, that overall your complete dream team is Dragonite, Shiny Rayquaza, Croagunk, Shiny Rockruff, Noibat, and now Shiny Palafin. And so well tied into each of your topics as well. But now I have to ask you, Adam, if you were to choose one of these Pokemon to be your partner Pokemon, which would it be?
Oh, Dragonite, easily.
Okay.
Yeah, easily. No, that's not even a question. Dragonite is it's my number one. I love it so much. And I had a when Mega Dragonite came out. Funny enough, you can go watch my reaction to it. I was just carrying a Dragonite plushie the entire time the announcement happened, and people were like, "How did you know?" And they're like, "Pokemon must have told you." And I'm like, "Dude, Pokemon wouldn't just message me and be like, hey, watch the announcement, carry a Dragonite. It makes no sense. Like, everyone else would have known at that point, you know what I mean? But I had this weird Dragonite feeling, you know what I mean? Like something is going to happen. And it was super funny because it was literally the only time where we only got one Mega Pokemon shown in a trailer on its own. So that made it even funnier. But, you know, I told my chat, I was like, guys, I put all my eggs in one basket. I'm going to look very foolish if nothing is shown. I'm carrying a Dragonite plushie the entire time. Wow. But it worked out, and I was very happy. And I do want to give an honorable mention to Shiny Psyduck. It is the first Shiny Pokemon that I Shiny hunted for content, and I got to share that with Junichi Masuda himself and his favorite Pokemon is Psyduck. So that was also one of my dreams that I got to do, which is really good. It's an honorable mention to Shiny Psyduck. You know, he's there somewhere, lurking around.
That's really fascinating, and I actually hadn't realised that Junichi Masuda's favourite Pokemon is Psyduck. Wow, okay. And that's unbelievable that you're carrying the Dragonite plush when Mega Dragonite was released. And when it happened, your mind must have been blown, especially because you were carrying that plush.
Dude, I was so happy. I get more of a state of shock than going crazy. So I was just like, you know what I mean? I was like, what is happening, you know?
Yeah. Wow, incredible. Well, the favourite that's been there all along, Dragonite, you are Awesome Adam's partner Pokemon. And now, a different kind of question for you, Adam. If you were a Pokemon, based on everything you know about yourself, what Pokemon do you think you would be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, man. I mean, I do want to say Dragonite, but if I'm not going to say Dragonite...
I guess a way in is thinking about what type you think you would be. I can say, I can see Dragonite. Dragonite is friendly, and I can see you as a dragon type. But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, funny enough, yeah, I think I would be. Yeah, I still then would be a dragon type because they all can be either very strong, but they can also be very kind. They can be very helpful. They can be very they like to travel. Like to go around. You know what I mean? Dragon types can come in many shapes or forms, and that's what I like about them is because I like seeing that. You know what I mean? I feel like they're very, especially nowadays, they're very diverse in how dragon types look like. So, and yeah, I feel like they're very passionate too. So I feel like I want to go with dragons as well.
Yeah, I think Dragonite works, but what do you all think? Do you agree that of all the Pokemon there are, Awesome Adam would be a Dragonite? Let us know in the comments because we would be fascinated to read. As we give you all, it's now time for your community questions. I post them online, as I always do, asking for questions for my guests. So to kick things off here, we have a question from Enter Name here 9223, who would like to know, before Pokemon, what did you want to do?
Oh. It's actually so crazy is that growing up, I never had a job that I wanted to do. I studied business to help make money for people that don't have money. So that was kind of like my idea. But growing up, I generally didn't know. Like people I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be this. But growing up, I just said I want to be a good person. And, that's what I hope I'm still doing. That's what I want to keep doing is being a good person. And, but I think maybe just it's just, helping people, in any way, shape or form. That's what I want to do. I don't know. Maybe there are jobs for that, but, I feel like what I'm doing kind of helps out a lot for a lot of people. So, yeah.
For sure. Wow. That's such a charming story when you said that when you grow up, you just want to be a good person. I hope that we all on some level were hoping that we would be. And I guess sometimes you don't need a plan for everything to work out. You found yourself doing the thing that is bringing people so much joy and something you're enjoying doing so much as well. So that's wonderful to hear. Thank you very much for that, Adam. I have a question for you, which is, what's the story behind your online name, Awesome Adam?
It's funny because like people will go like, "Oh, that's awesome, Adam," or like whatever, and I typed in like, I'm like, does it rhyme? And then like some website says technically rhymes, like awesome and Adam, and I was like, I guess, and I was like, and I would hear that phrase, "Oh, that's awesome, Adam," you know, like, oh, that's, or you know what I mean? I would hear that, you know, here and there, and then I looked up online. I'm like, does it rhyme? I wanted something that rhymed, you know, a little bit, or like kind of went to well together, and so that's kind of what I went with. I was just like, you know what, like, I'm just gonna name myself that. Like, why not? I'm like, a name is just a name at the end of the day. Like what you do with that name is what matters, you know. And because you can have the coolest name ever, but like, if you you know aren't doing anything that relates to your name, or it's whatever, you know. But I just think that is how you leave your mark, and I think I liked my name, so I thought that was a cool one, you know.
Very interesting. Thank you very much for that. And also, did I see online recently you went onto the pitch during some kind of sports
Oh
game?
yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
but tell us about what that was.
So basically, the MLB, Major League Baseball, contacted me, and they said they were doing a Pokemon night, and I was like, oh, and they said we would like for you to come out, you know, like film the event, play the event, and there's like Pikachu spawning. They have like special backgrounds, and it's like they have like baseball backgrounds on the game. I think that's really cool. And so they sent me another one. They said, "Oh, would you like to do the first pitch?" And I was like, "What?" And the first pitch is, in baseball, basically to start off the game, they have someone go up and then they throw the baseball over. I actually have the baseball right here. Funny enough. They take the baseball, and this is the one I threw at the game. You take the baseball and then you throw over to the pitcher. Sorry, I'm the pitcher. You throw it to the umpire. But it could be it could be a catcher, it could be anybody, but you throw it over to them and it kind of like sets the tone for the game. If they catch it, it means they're gonna have a good game, you know, like that's the good luck, you know what I mean? I was nervous because I hadn't thrown a baseball in like forever, you know. So I was a little worried. I was like, okay, so I focused more on my power. We're not overshooting and not undershooting it, and did it just about right. I was a little off to the side, but he caught it. And not only that, but Pikachu surprised me because I saw Pikachu walking up, and I was like, "Oh, cool! You guys brought Pikachu here." And they're like, "Yeah, Pikachu's gonna walk with you to do the pitch." And I was like, "What?" And so I got to have Pikachu follow me around, like in Pokemon Yellow, just walking up to the baseball mound, and it was a dream come true. And
Wow.
it was a wonderful, marvelous moment, and I will never forget it. It's just. And I was honored because I don't think anyone else has ever done that before, ever, with Pikachu.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. Incredible experiences that you've had. And may there be many more. Well, thank you very much for your questions. If you'd like to submit a question for a future guest on Chazingdra Chats, you can find my socials at Chazingdra across X, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. I would love to hear what you'd love to hear. That's where I post the call outs for questions for my guests. All right then, Adam. So we've heard a lot about you up to now, but what's next for you?
What's next for me, man? I mean, what's next for me is Pokemon Legends EA, opening up a lot of Pokemon cards, and just enjoying life. I think that's what people tend to forget. And if there's something that I think is important to leave everybody off with, other than just Pokemon, is in life you can buy a lot of things that'll make you happy, but one thing that you should buy that'll make you happy is experiences. Going to a concert, going to an event, traveling the world, going to a Pokemon event, whatever the case may be. Those experiences are something you're going to cherish your entire life. It's what made me want to keep doing this every single day, is when I look back at those memories, traveling the world. At the end of the day, you can have as many things, materialistic things in the world. Your experiences is what's gonna mold you as a person that you are. how you're going to see the rest of your life. And not only that, but bring you happiness, you know? And, you know, we got to remember, you know, we're not in just in a small focused area. Like, there's a big world out there. And, you know, sometimes things seem bleak, you know, sometimes it seems like this. But you have to remember to have experiences in life, have things you look forward to. It truly, truly makes you happy. I promise you this. And that's one thing I want to share. Just go out and make those experiences. It's something that you'll hold on to for the rest of your life, because, you know, stuff comes and goes, but this, your mind, your mindset, those times, they stick with you forever.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed for that, Adam. And I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Very inspiring words indeed. And my final question for you, and potentially it's exactly what you said just then, but looking back from now as a very successful Pokemon and content creator, all the way back to the young Adam who, as soon as they were playing Pokemon Stadium and Hey You Pikachu and everything that followed, was immediately in love with it. What advice would you give to that younger you?
What advice would I give to younger me is all those doubts you had about the future, if it's going to be okay, that, you know, it's going to be okay. And not to worry, because, you know, even though things aren't planned out, they'll work out.
They will work out indeed. Everything happens for a reason, and something that might not feel like the result that you wanted at the time, who knows what greater plans there are in store. Thank you so much for that, Adam, and the chat is not in there, because now we'll be getting into Awesome Adam's Rapidash round, 15 or so minutes of bonus questions that Adam has not prepared for, and as with all my guests, there's so much more I want to take a deeper dive into. I'd like to know, as someone who plays Pokemon Go, if Awesome Adam could spin a Pokestop in real life, what would Adam want out of that? I want to know about hidden talents or fun facts about Adam that no one is potentially aware of. I want to know if there was space for a 7th Pokemon on Adam's team, what that would be. So if you want to hang out with me and Adam for a bit longer, you can become a YouTube channel member, or you can buy the Rapidash rounds individually on my Patreon. Plenty of perks available to YouTube channel members beyond these videos as well, which gets you 4 bonus videos per month. But fundamentally, I really appreciate the fact that you've hung out with me and Adam for the entirety of this episode. But if you want to chill with us a little bit more, then that option is available to you, and the links will be below. But for now, Adam, thank you so much again for joining me on the show. What an inspiring time it's been, and I'm sure that plenty of people are walking away with spring in their step from this episode.
I hope so.
Absolutely. And if people want to keep up with you online, Adam, where can they find you?
Just at Awesome Adam on, you know, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. I'm on the same name everywhere else.
Make sure you're checking out Adam's content. And everybody, once more, if you've enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe. It would mean a huge amount. It does go such a long way. And drop a comment too, because Adam, as with all of my guests, has given us so much food for thought. More than 75 episodes of this podcast at this point, with a broad range of people in the community, not just competitive players from the video game, but Pokemon Go and Pokemon Trading Card Game and Pokemon Unite as well as more casual Pokemon players and shiny hunters. There's bound to be something for everyone. You can use the hashtag 6Pokemon1LifeStory to spread the word about the show. And also on my channel, I stream competitive as well as more casual. I'm looking forward to streaming Pokemon Legends ZA as well. And I'm at Chazingdra across all socials. Discord community link below, email link below, and episodes of this podcast drop every Wednesday. Alright then, Adam, so with that being said, it's time to get into your Rapidash round. So if you're not joining us as a YouTube channel member or on Patreon for that, then it's goodbye from Adam, and it's goodbye from me. See you next time on Chazingdra Chats, where there'll be another 6 Pokemon, 1 Life Story. So then, Adam, you looking forward to these questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great, let's dive in. Yeah, I want to know, if you could spin a Pokestop in real life, what would you want out of it?
I can spin a Pokestop.